performance capture saved my life is a very dramatic title. But it's a true one in my case. I suppose I should really start talking about a little bit myself. I'm actually a private person, but I have a very, very public job, especially public right now. Why that is, I don't know, darling. Must be one of the roles. It's a mystery. I'm very grateful to him as well, by the way. I am an actor, apparently, a director, a producer, working mainly in performance capture, film, TV, and theatre. I've worked in over 160 projects, possibly counting, and I've been very grateful to have all this work. I also have a production company now called Performance Capture Limited, and that's just on my acting side of me personally. I'm a Brumet, as you can tell by my heavy, thick, brogue regional accent. I'm also a twin. I have a twin brother, and I'm the evil one, in case you're wondering. And if anybody says there's no such thing, then that means they're the evil one too. I'm very lucky that I have a family. I have a great partner, and I think it's the most interesting thing about me is that I'm a father to a wonderful daughter, both of whom keep me very grounded, and I hope make me a better person each day. So context, my journey to this point here. I work in performance capture mainly. What is performance capture? Good question, Neil. It is a mixture of motion capture and voice work in film, TV, animation, stage, and screen as well. A good example, really, to get you to understand it, if you don't know what it is the work of Andy Serkis. He played Gollum in Lord of the Rings, used motion capture and voice work. He then evolved that into Planet of the Apes, where he used a thing called a HMC, head-mounted camera, just a thing that sits in your face, to give face data as well as body data and voice. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. You can use it on location. You can also use it in the studio with an optical setup. We call it the volume. The volume is essentially a stage, like this, surrounded by cameras, low to middle to high. Depending on the size, the number of cameras increases. And you wear the suit, the most unflattering suit a human being can ever wear in their entire life. Nobody looks good, I know, because I've checked. You basically have these cameras that fire off near-infrared light that reflect off these markers that I have tattooed on my body as a thank you to the gods of mocap. These ping back, obviously, a reflection. That's captured by all these cameras working as one system to create a skeleton, which essentially is the instrument of the actor. It's a very pure way of working, on top of which you can put a rig, which is the skeleton, the muscles, or lack of muscles, or the clothes, the accoutrement, and the trappings of the character you're playing. It's wonderful, and here's the amazing thing about it. It's just like stage and film together. You walk in, there's grey boxes everywhere, mesh props perhaps, and you have to use your imagination to imbue these objects with the qualities they deserve, as well as the environment, because there's nothing there. It's also like film, because everything is on virtual camera. It could be anywhere. Sometimes they have a literal virtual camera, but often there's nothing. So the idea is that everything is a wide and a close-up simultaneously. It's a very beautiful way of working for the actor because you're always on, which is cool. I love my job and I love what I do. However, getting to this point took a lot of pain, a lot of hard lessons. I tend to play villains a lot, so like every villain has an origin story. So I'm going to start with my origin story. When I was 8 years old, my mum took me to go and see the original Cats with Brian Blessed. Brian Blessed! And literally, the man whispers loudly. It's incredible. And also Bonnie Tyler and also Wayne Seaton, people like that. It was amazing. I was completely enthralled, totally sucked into the world and completely hooked on theatre. Luckily, my mum then nurtured that, took me to see things at Stratford. Actually, as I grew up, I saw people like Simon Russell Beale, Ian McKellen, some amazing actors. I was just blown away by the power they had on stage. I then followed that into school. I was a card-carrying geek power, and got into role-play games. I also got into school plays. My long-since-departed friend and also teacher, my English teacher, Bob Mellowish, introduced me to Pinter and to Stoppard and explained Shakespeare in a much better way. And I found that the more I was on stage at school, the more I got into the idea of becoming an actor. I joined Central Television Workshop at that point with Colin Edwards, and then I went to National Youth Theatre, which really changed everything. The very sadly missed and hugely supportive Ed Wilson, who started not only my career, but many people's careers as well. From that point, I got picked up by an agent. And so my meteoric rise to becoming a superstar actor was underway, as was my entitlement. Because I thought, oh, this is how it works out. Great, I'll just keep doing this. Fantastic. It's all going to be so easy for me. At that point, I also had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, I would say. And so when my agent said you should go to drama school, I went, I don't need to, I'm an actor, but I'll do it for you, no problem. Went into every single audition I had and completely screwed it up, including one standing argument with one of the teachers where I told him that I already was an actor, I wasn't sure he could teach me, and then left surreptitiously thinking that made an impression. Funnily enough, never got a recall back to that place ever again. At this point, unfortunately, sorry, I'm just about to destroy the environment, I became successful, which I think ultimately was to my detriment. I started doing TV in England and also in Europe. From there, I went into doing a play with Dominic Cook, The Royal Court, Christopher Shin, amazing play that we did. And from there, I did my first film with Stephen Fry going across Europe. And from there, I also went to Thailand with Liam Cunningham to do another film. Things were going great. I was living out of bags, and I didn't have a care in the world. And I thought, this is brilliant, exactly how I planned it in my head. Unfortunately, people at the time were also telling me stupid things like, you're going to be a star, and this is so easy, this is how it's going to be now. You shouldn't work for auditions too much, don't worry about it. And unfortunately for me, I started listening to them. Of course, at that point, problems started arising. I didn't work that much, and so I realized something's wrong. More desperate to be in the room, more desperate to do what I thought the casting director and also the directors were asking of me, I tried to play to what I imagined they wanted, as opposed to listening to my gut instinct that I'd been riding on for so long. I also started realizing that I was being typecasted. The same role again and again and again would come up, and I'd get bored, essentially, by it, and wouldn't be able to do anything new with it, just sort of rehashing the same ideas. Eventually, I realized there were fewer and fewer auditions, I was getting fewer work, and I needed a job desperately, which is lucky that I met the wonderful company Cellar Society, amazing catering company, Bertie de Rougemont, real name, Google it, and Adam Phelps, and they were an amazing lifeline for not only myself, but many, many other actors and artists in London at the time. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to sustain myself. But, you know, things got worse. As my catering career skyrocketed, my acting career hit the doldrums, and I was doing particularly badly. At this point also, with desperation and I think a little bit of laziness, to be honest, on my part, the sort of numbing effect of rejection, I realized that things were getting much, much worse. I was in £34,000 worth of debt, living in a really ramshackled place in Dalston, which luckily my landlord kept the rent low and asked no questions about maintenance, which was nice. And I found myself in a situation not only of bitterness and cynicism, but also envy of my peers that were doing fantastically well. Things were going really bad. And then I hit self-destruction, which is always a great idea when you're trying to solve up life's problems. At this point, well, I'm standing in my room, looking out of a window, 2 bank letters in my hand, a magazine in the other. The bank letter says, we're going to sue you if you don't pay up, and we're going to bankrupt you, and it's going to be horrible. But also, the second letter is a helpful consolidation loan by the same bank with a high interest, so don't worry about it, just take the loan. Of course, dropping this to the floor, I read the magazine, because why am I going to deal with this problem right now? I'm a gamer. PC gamer was my big thing, my luxury that I would afford myself. And this article that I happened to flick through, probably on the same month as it is today, 18 years ago or something crazy like that, I read an article about voice work in games. Keely Hawes playing Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. Blew my mind. You can do that as a job. Of course, I'm a gamer. Why am I not doing this? I'm an actor. I can act! I can do, voices and all that kind of stuff, so I thought, I should do this. And then right at the bottom, I see this picture. Tiny little picture, like an afterthought of the magazine. Black volume, performer like this. It's electrifying. It's theatre and film. Motion capture, whatever that is. I think I can do this. This guy looks like he's having the best time of life. I should do this. I contacted Audio Motion, Stacey Boyzell, Brian Mitchell, who gave me my first gig, Ghost Recon Future Soldier, and then gave me so much work afterwards, essentially starting my career in mocap. At this point, I'd learned humility. I had been dragged down through successive agents and realized I was not the bee's knees and not, weirdly, the best actor in the world. I know, shocking revelation. At this point, I went in with my humble hat and was very grateful for every job they gave me. They started my career. It was an amazing time because there were so many games out there with so few actors doing it. People told me, you're going to ruin your career, Neil, if you keep doing this. I was like, I want to ruin my career in catering, please. That would be fantastic. So I'd like to do this work more often. Nobody believed in it. Ex-friends, ex-lovers, ex-agents, even some family members, they just thought this was a bad idea. But my gut instinct, which I'd lost a long time ago, came back and told me this is the way forward. Working with so many amazing crew and technicians, and all the rest of the actors that would teach me as well as me teaching them ultimately, other people coming into the industry as I'd been taught, gave me a new sense of enthusiasm for the work. Detroit Become Human, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil with my friend Steve Kniebley, Planet of the Apes as well, eventually led me to becoming competent, feeling confident about what I'm doing. I started mentoring people, I started directing, I started producing things. Suddenly I started thinking laterally about what else can I do in this wonderful place. I also, during that time, I got married, had a kid, got divorced, very amicably, but I was left co-parenting with a wonderful mother to our daughter. But I suddenly had no backup. I had to let go of this insane dream of being a successful television film actor and just focus on my daughter. And that's what I did. The work that was coming in gave me enthusiasm, gave me hope, gave me joy and fun. It also paid me more in one day of mocap than it did in a week of waitering. So I had a plan. Finally, I managed to crawl myself out of debt, focused on my kid, focused on the work, and I suddenly found joy again. I started training, I've been training for about 15 years. My wonderful teacher, Giles Foreman, revolutionized my craft. And finally, I could bring everything I've learned, including humility, gratitude, into the work that I was doing. We were doing revolutionary things, challenges that nobody had ever come across. How do you eat a brain like a zombie? It's a question that you don't ask yourself in day-to-day life. How do you wade through snow? All this kind of stuff. It was amazing. I played a rock monster, I played elves and heroes and all kinds of things. And finally, I realized I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have an ego about it. It was just fun. I started initiatives since Pixel Pack is an endeavor I'm trying to cultivate to help other actors have recognition in game work that we are on the same level as film, TV, and theater. It's just acting. I've managed to champion other people's careers. I've managed to be a person to come to for advice. And all of that is because of the work that I've done. And I met Larian, who are the most beautiful company, of whom I owe an enormous debt of gratitude to. This character has changed my life in a most wonderful way. Also, my journey became a healing one. I'd let go of jealousy, I'd let go of entitlement, I'd let go of the why me's and the why not me's and all that kind of nonsense, and just focused on being happy in the work that I was given. Larian gave me an incredible gift, and through that I've been doing conventions, meeting the audience, meeting the players, and hearing their experiences, and hearing how all these different work that I've been doing collaboratively with other people has given them, the audience, the players, a healing journey as well. Some people have been suicidal. Some people have been isolated. People have come out as trans, come out as queer, and found a community around these games or find identity through these characters. I'm a small part of all of that, but I get to experience that from their stories. It's the most beautiful experience, something I never expected that would happen to me, and rather wonderful too. Through this, my production company helps champion other actors now, and we do a lot of great work. It's really fun. I really like what I do. I'm a lucky, privileged person. I'm very happy. I'm a solvent, stable dad. And all of that is because I followed my gut in doing the one thing that I had left with the humility that had been kicked into me through years of not doing very well, and finally seized the opportunity that I was given. I would say that performance capture, without being glib, saved my life. But not only that, it also reinvigorated it. Performance capture gave me an extra life, if you want to use a gaming term. But through the journey that I've been on, I also learned an enormous amount. I learned that entitlement, expectation, jealousy, ego will destroy any aspiration that you have. If you can find your way to it, genuinely find humility, genuine generosity for other people, genuine gratitude for what you have, and also have the bravery to follow your gut instinct, to then try to create things for yourself in the way that you want it, well, you might not end up where you dreamt of being. You might end up somewhere better. That's my story. Thank you very much, TEDx, for allowing me to share it, and thank you for listening.